Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you a video talking about my top 10 favorite characters on AMC's The Walking Dead, Dead or Alive. And I did one of these top 10s about a year or so ago, and I just sort of wanted to do like an updated list because some positions on my top 10 have changed. And my last video I did on this was about 15 minutes long. Don't worry, it's not going to be that long. I'm going to try to keep this to like 15-20 minutes or so. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of just talk about my favorite characters from both the past and present, and who still remains on top, and what has really shifted in the lower parts of the list. But yeah, first off, honorable mentions. Characters that I still think of fondly but didn't quite crack the top 10 just because of how I feel about the others that are on there. And first honorable mention is going to be Dale, played by Jeffrey DeMunn. Very good character early on. He probably was one of my favorites within the first 2 seasons of The Walking Dead. Jeffrey DeMunn did a very good job in the role. You know, he was really our moral compass early on, sort of the void that they had Herschel fill a little bit later. And you know, I would have liked to have seen Dale around for a while longer. You know, we lost him towards the end of season 2 with Judge, Jury, Executioner because of Carl letting a damn Walker get away, and also because Jeffrey DeMunn had wanted off the show at that time, from what I heard, due to Frank Darabont and AMC's feud starting, and Frank Darabont leaving or getting fired. And you know, it sounds like otherwise Dale probably would have been around at least during season 3, maybe 4, I would think. But yeah, he is still a very memorable character on the show. Again, performance from Jeffrey DeMunn was very good, and you know, he also had a pretty good influence on Glenn in a similar way that Herschel did as well. But yeah, so honorable mention goes to Dale. Another honorable mention is going to be Abraham, played by Michael Cudlitz, who we just lost in the season 7 premiere due to Lucille. Very good character, you know, someone I'm definitely going to miss for sure. And you're just very different in contrast to how a lot of our other characters' personalities are. Of course, his final words being "suck my nuts." But you know, he is also a very physically fun character to watch, just because of how strong he is, how capable he is, and that's part of the reason why Negan ended up killing him. You know, because he appeared to be the most intimidating, the least afraid. So I think that's a big credit to his character that he was killed because he is too dangerous. So I think that's a good credit to him. And he, like I say, he just had a really fun personality. But at the same time, he also had a good amount of character depth as well with what he went through with Rosita and Sasha, as well as some of his you know, background with losing his wife and you know, kid and his family and such. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna miss Michael Cudlitz's Abraham on the show. He's definitely a good presence to have around. Another honorable mention is you know, going to be someone that people don't really approve of very much, but I'm going to go with Andrea, played by Laurie Holden. And you know, I do think it was a mistake to kill Andrea off at the end of season 3. You know, I do admit the way she was written, especially when it came to you know, her little love affair with the governor, I didn't think that was overly necessary. I would have liked to have seen her become more of what she is in the comics. Although I love, you know, the story between Rick and Michonne, I would have liked to have seen her still be a capable member of the group as she is in the comics. But I still think she was played pretty well. I really like the performance Laurie Holden gave throughout the seasons, and it was definitely a shock to see her killed off. And I think they know it was a mistake at this point. You know, frustrating character, but you know, she definitely had a lot more potential to give for sure. But yeah, so now we're actually getting into the top 10, and the top you know, spots 10 through 5. I want to say they're kind of rotatable. You know, especially with I think like 8 through 5 are kind of rotatable for me right now. But as far as like the top 4 goes, those are pretty much set in stone, I think. But yeah, let's get into, you know, the top 10. Number 10 is going to be Glenn, played by Steven Yeun, and I probably just butchered his last name, but of course we just lost him as well. You know, very sad. He was one of our originals. You know, we heard his voice at the end of the very first episode. He is one of the characters around the longest, and he was one of the most genuinely good people in the show. Really good-hearted guy. Even before he met Herschel, he was just a young, optimistic kid, and he tried to keep that throughout his run on the show. And Herschel heavily influenced him. Of course, his story with Maggie and such is touching and stuff as well. He is also a very good runner, very good navigator, a good thinker, and he also developed really well over the seasons. From going to that sort of comic relief, pizza delivery boy, to a leader in the group, really, like probably Rick's second or third, really, along with Daryl. And he definitely developed some, of course, thicker skin and just natural hardness, that a lot of the characters have developed due to living through all of this. And so I think that's always really well shown. The actor always did a tremendous job, and it feels weird not having him around now, for sure. And it's definitely sad to see him go, even though I did see it coming. But yeah, number 10 is Glenn. Number 9 is a bit controversial, but I'm going to go with Negan, played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And there's this divided fan base on this. Fans of the comics, they love Negan already. They're excited about him. And then there's people who just watch the show that aren't really interested in the comics, and they just see Negan as this bad guy they want dead right away. Me, I'm somewhere in the middle. On one hand, I want Rick to bite his throat out already. But at the same time, I'm a big fan of Jeffrey Dean Morgan as an actor, especially from his work on Supernatural. And he just nails the role of Negan, man. And I feel like he's going to be around at least for a good handful of seasons, at least 2 to 3 seasons, hopefully more, I think. But yeah, over time, I think he will go up even further on my list. He'll probably get into my top 5 at least by the time he's done, I think. But right now, he's just such an awesome presence on the show. Again, you want him to die, but at the same time, he's just damn entertaining, man. The dialogue form, how Jeffrey Dean Morgan delivers it, it's creepy, it's weird, it's intimidating, but at the same time, it's fun. So I think he's really a special character on the show already, and I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan, JDM, is doing a really good job showing that huge personality of the character from the comics in a realistic way on the show. But yeah, number 9, Negan. Number 8 is going to be Morgan, played by Lenny James. He's one of our originals in a way, too. We've seen him, here and there over the first few seasons, but now he's sort of a series regular. And, so he is still one of our originals, really. And he was a character I liked quite a bit right away. Of course, he introduced Rick to everything that was going on, in this, in the ZA and such. And, he suffered his own losses, as everyone has. His story with his wife and such, obviously in the first episode, where he can't bring himself to shoot her. And that was at a time when they were also showing that walkers might still have some intelligence or memory of who they were about him, with her going through the door and such. I wish they had kept that. It would have made the walkers themselves more interesting, I think. But just very well acted again by Lenny James. There's really no terrible actor on the show, and Lenny James is one of the best, I think. Of course, some people are frustrated with him and his choice not to kill anyone. But I think he's hopefully finding more of a middle ground with that, seeing that there are situations where you don't really have much of a choice if you want to protect those that you really care about. And of course, his whole Star Wars Jedi Master skills with the stick. It's very fun to watch too. I think he has a good amount of character depth to him as well. But yeah, I don't want this video to go on for too long. I could probably talk for a while about Morgan. But he's definitely had a lot of standout episodes, and I'm glad he's a regular character on the show now. So yeah, number 8 is Morgan. Number 7 is going to be Herschel, played by Scott Wilson. Again, sort of taking over from Dale, becoming even more of a moral compass for the group. And, of course, very close to Glenn, of course, the father of Maggie and Beth. And he was really like a father figure to the group. Excuse me. And, he lost his, at least part of his leg when he was bitten by a walker at the beginning of season 3. And a big part of it was he had his religious beliefs challenged as well. His line about Christ promised a resurrection of the dead. I just figured he had something a little bit different in mind. And we see how much he struggles with that over the the seasons that he's in. of course, seeing his faith tested by everything that happens, how could he not question it? But Herschel, he always kept, he had that, lower moment in the bar with Rick in season 2, Rick and Glenn. But he grew from that, and he sort of still held on to that faith and that strength that, people can change, they're not too far gone. And he's heavily influenced Rick as well. So Herschel is a great, great character. I do miss him quite a bit. So yeah, number 7 is Scott Wilson's Herschel. Number 6 is going to be Merle Dixon, played by Michael Rooker. Just a really awesome character. Of course, being that racist prick, but weirdly fun in season 1. But then he gets handcuffed to the roof. We see him in in a hallucination of Daryl's in season 2. Finally makes his return in season 3 within Woodbury and the Governor. And just a very fun character. Michael Rooker is just a really entertaining actor. And I love the amount of character depth they gave to Merle in the last 2 episodes. With him actually going back to the prison with the group and Daryl, and him actually going out in a way that he was trying to protect the group from the Governor. He was a great fighter, very good sharpshooter, and I also really liked his scenes with Michonne in the car and on the road. Where Michonne gives that line about how he can still, he was a good man at one point, or how he was in a certain way before he met the Governor because he hadn't killed anyone before, apparently. And how she pointed out that Merle still feels weight about things he's done, whereas someone truly evil, they'd be light as a feather, they'd sleep easily at night, but Merle doesn't. I just like how they added quite a few layers to Merle at the end. Unfortunately, they killed him off pretty soon after. But he's still a very, very memorable character on the show, and someone I don't think we're going to be forgetting about. So yeah, number 6 is going to be Merle. Number 5, the Governor, played by David Morrissey. Up until now, he was our biggest villain on the show by far. Of course, running Woodbury, he lost his daughter Penny, his wife, before the apocalypse started in a car accident. And, of course, he's very manipulative, from the get-go. But at the same time, when his zombified daughter was killed by the Michonne, that was like the last straw. And he was a great villain. David Morrissey did an excellent job in the role. And he even got a couple standalone episodes to himself in season 4, if you guys remember, with Live Bait and the episode after that. I think it did a good job in making us, guess a little bit about him, make us think that maybe he could potentially turn around. But it turns out that he was just a little bit too far gone after all, and he, of course, does the liar thing, and then, unfortunately, kills Herschel. But there is that just one moment during Rick's speech, in Too Far Gone, the mid-season finale, which still is probably my favorite episode to this day. Where you see the Governor, he lowers the sword a little bit, so there was a shred of humanity left in him that we see a little bit of in Live Bait too. But you just had this inkling in his head that would just force him to do this, just compel him to go about things this way. So yeah, very multi-layered character, and very physically capable as well. Of course, you always remember him taking out those walkers in the pit and things like that. And yeah, even though Negan, he's kind of overshadowed him at this point, I still think David Morrissey set a very high bar for villains on the show, and villains on any show in general. So I don't think you're going to forget about the Governor no matter what Negan does. But yeah, so number 5 is the Governor. Number 4 is Daryl Dixon, played by Norman Reedus. Big fan favorite on the show. Someone who is going to be killed off within the first couple seasons or so, but he just proved to be one of the most popular characters, and he's arguably the most popular character on the show, along with Rick. Norman Reedus does a very good job in the role. I liked his development. I liked him more early on. I liked him more in season 2, season 3, when he was a little bit more, complex, I want to say. He sort of stayed the same way since then. I liked his development with Carol, and when he went out looking for Sophia, how that built, and how he felt like he could be closer and open up to the group a little bit more. The sort of brotherly bond him and Rick have developed over the course of the series. It's very strong, and of course his relationship with Merle is one of the highlights early on for sure. And of course his crossbow, it's one of the most iconic things about the entire series. And and Daryl's a character that's hard to see the show without too. And he's arguably the most capable member of the whole group, so it's gonna be interesting to see how he gets out of this Negan thing. But yeah, so number 4 is Dwight. Not Dwight. Number 4 is Daryl. And, again, I could easily talk more about all of these characters, but I don't want to go for a whole hour this time. But yeah, number 4 is Daryl. Number 3, I said the top 4 were pretty set, but number 3 and number 2, they're still very, very, very close for me. But number 3, for now anyway, I put Shane Walsh, played by Jon Bernthal. He was my favorite character in the series, all the way through up until, he died in Better Angels in season 2. Jon Bernthal just did such a fantastic job in the role. It made me really love him as an actor. It makes me so happy that he's getting this huge role as the Punisher on Netflix. But Shane, I think he was he's kind of like an overlooked character now, or like misunderstood, I want to say. He obviously turned into more of an antagonist, in season 2, but I think he is still a very compelling and interesting character, and I think some people need to go back and see just how much is going on with him, and try to see his perspective on it a little bit more. I did feel for Shane. Again, just very good job from Jon Bernthal. Him and Rick's friendship was a very tragic thing to see, just disintegrate away like that. But definitely Shane and Rick's relationship, it still remains one of the standout dynamics of the show even up to now. It was just incredible, and it really, really made the show what it was for me early on. I just love Shane, and I really miss him. I'm hoping that once Rick maybe dies at some point, maybe we get like an appearance from Jon Bernthal again in his mind or something. I don't know, I think that'd be cool. But yeah, Shane, a very compelling character, and someone that still sticks out to me. So yeah, number 3 is Shane. And number 2 is Michonne, played by Denai Guerrera. My favorite female character on the show by far, and obviously one of my favorite characters in general on the show. She is just awesome. Ever since we've seen that stand-in at the end of season 2 with her saving Andrea. Of course, the samurai, with her katana and such, of course, very fun to watch, as she fights off walkers and people. She's very physically capable and athletic. And I've really liked how her and Rick's relationship has developed over the seasons. I think it was very organically and naturally done. Despite their mistake with Andrea, I think they built up Rick and Michonne correctly, and I think it does feel real. Just with her bond and connection to Carl as well, she does feel like a second mother to him. And I think it all feels very, very fitting. And Michonne herself, she has a very interesting background as well, very sad and tragic with her child and the person she was with. And she's definitely one of the most well-acted characters on the show. Denai Guerrera does such a great job being very stoic, yet in real life being very bubbly and positive and such. But Michonne, she is probably one of the besides like Glenn and Rick and Herschel and Dale and characters like that, she also has a very good heart as well. She's just a very genuine, very strong willed person, and I just can't see the show without her. She's one of my favorite female characters in anything, not just The Walking Dead. I love Michonne. I have the pop of her. I have like the 10 or 12 inch McFarlane statue thing of her. So yeah, I just love Michonne, and I could not see the show without her. She's even surpassed Shane to an extent for me. Yeah, it's very, very cool. I love the character very much, and again, I like this position she's taken with Rick as his love interest, and I think it felt very good to see that finally happen. But yeah. So yeah, Michonne, I love Michonne. She's number 2. And number 1 is, of course, Rick Grimes, played by Andrew Lincoln, the main character on the show and the most well-developed, I think. We could not have the show without him, really, he has had such a rich and developed history on the show. It's really amazing to go back and watch it all. How he developed from not wanting to kill any humans to sort of going a little more towards Shane's ideology on how to survive in the zombie apocalypse, becoming hardened and more, and more sort of, just cold to survive and protect those he cares about and such. That development I think was really well done. Of course, with his loss of Lori still is one of the highest points of the show for me. How Andrew Lincoln portrayed that was really, really great. Andrew Lincoln deserves a good handful of Emmy Awards by now. It's just unfortunate that The Walking Dead always gets snubbed, or the Emmys never recognize him. Andrew Lincoln definitely deserves it for season 3, and his performance in the season 7 premiere was just amazing. Just portraying the defeat and the despair and just the guilt was just really well shown by Lincoln. And he's been a really consistently great actor on the show, and he's gotten even better as the seasons have went on. And of course, I cannot see the show without him. Rick is definitely the best character on the show. He's the face of the show, and awesome. But yeah, again, I could talk about Rick for probably by himself for probably at least like half an hour to an hour or something if I wanted to. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know who your top 10 favorite characters are, dead or alive, and why. And please don't bash my rankings. We all have our favorites and such. But yeah, I like doing this video. Glad I kept it under an hour this time. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and I'll catch you guys later for my review of Doctor Strange, which I'm going to be seeing today. So yeah, like, subscribe, and peace.